Well, good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here. It's June 22nd, and you are here on Let's Talk to Cutler. You all know I show up every Tuesday and Thursday for only 1,800 seconds. And my goal, if you're wondering what this channel is all about, my goal is to make sure that I offer some words of encouragement, some words of motivation and inspiration. I'm just trying to make sure that I give you at least a few nuggets to show up a little bit better tomorrow than we did today. It doesn't mean that today was all bad. It doesn't mean that today was a wash by any stretch of the imagination. This is just a realization that there's always room to grow, always room to go a little higher, always room to get a little bit better. So thank you so much for joining my channel. If this is your first time, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. After you subscribe, click on that notification button so that you will know whenever I'm on, whenever I've uploaded new content, all those sorts of things. I want to ask you all this, and I'll tell you where we're reading from and I'll quote some other stuff where it's taken from. But I want to ask you this. What would you do if you knew that you were granted 24-hour armed security? If you knew that you had a security detail assigned to you everywhere you went, how would that change your life? I'm curious. I want to talk about that and so many other things. But listen, do me a favor. Tell somebody that Cutler is live. Cutler is on the air. Share this conversation. Share this with somebody. Tell people, come on, the guy is on. Let's talk to Cutler. I'll be right back.
Let's talk to Cutler. One more thing, like, subscribe and share. Come on, let's talk to Cutler. Woo!
Well, as that intro says, come on, let's talk to Cutler. I'm not going to embarrass myself by trying to sing a hair or something. Oh, that was a lemonade. That was a lemon pulp from the lemon Arnold Palmer that I'm drinking. It was just disturbing me. But listen, thank you all so much for joining me. I appreciate the fact that you decided to share one of the most valuable things that you have, and that is your time. So I'm not going to waste your time. I want to make sure that I make every second significant, every moment meaningful, and every minute has to matter. Thank you all for sharing this 1,800 seconds with me every Tuesday and Thursday, right? I show up here because we're reading this book, Billboards to Better, 366 daily sources of motivation and inspiration along the highway of life. I'm telling you all this. This is my 7th book. And you can go over to Amazon.com and get it. You can go on over to gbcutler.com and pick it up. You don't need this book to join the conversation, but the book helps. The book helps. So if you want to pick it up, go on and get it. But it's about what we're doing. We are quoting. We're reading the quotes from this book. We read them every Tuesday and Thursday. On Tuesdays, let me tell you what we do. Let me tell you the dynamics of how we're set up. On Tuesdays, we'll read the quote from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And then stick with me, you all. And then on Thursday, we'll read the quote from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There's a quote for Saturday, but listen, I'm not pushing the issue. Do me a favor. Take that Saturday quote, use it to start a conversation, use it as part of your meditation. Whatever you do, take that quote. There are over 366 quotes in here, you all. And then if you get the book, you'll discover that I gave you a few extra quotes as well, some bonus quotes. But again, we're just basing our conversation on it. And again, my goal is to make sure that we share this time and we share this space so that we can show up a little bit better tomorrow than we did today. I got it. Okay, that was something. I think I trimmed my mustache and hair or something. Is that you all forgive me. Forgive me for talking about personal grooming issues, but I also want to shout out our LTTC VIPs for the evening as well. Those are the people who just quickly joined the chat. Thank you all so much. My friend Roselia Davis says, good evening, Radella Lewis, Annie Cutler. Thank you all so much for joining this channel. Again, go ahead and share it with everybody. We're going to talk about a few things. This is about being holistically better, physically better, emotionally better, spiritually better, from every aspect of life. It's about becoming better. We're riding along the highway of life. We're reading the billboards. Some apply to us and some don't. The ones that don't apply to us, we're not offended by them. We just pass them on to somebody else, or we just put them in our arsenal because you never know when you might need them. Okay, I want to go ahead and get started. But again, thank you all for sharing this space and sharing this time. Do me a favor, you all. Do me a favor. If you're already here in the chat and you're chatting with me, help me to appreciate and say hi to Naja. This may be Naja's first time. I think, Naja, let me know if this is your first time in the chat with me. If it is, it's so good to see you this evening. I have to make sure I tell my friend Auntie for sending you this way. All right. Hey, I want to get started with the quote, you all. The quote for June 20th, coming right out of this book. The quote for June 20th says this: there is no bedroom near God's throne. No bedroom near God's throne. He never sleeps, takes a nap, or gets tired. He never sleeps, takes a nap, or gets tired. Let me just sort of give you a little bit of the backdrop to this quote. All right. This quote makes me ask the question: how would your life change? Here we go. If you were granted 24-hour armed guard service. Talk to me in the chat, you all. I want to know, how would your life change if you were granted 24-hour armed guard service? And I'll tell you this: I've had the privilege of being covered by a security detail before, ever so briefly, ever so briefly. But I have to confess that it allows you to navigate with a little more confidence, but it also makes you aware of some of the things that you're being protected from. It's one thing to know that you can have the confidence and the freedom, but it also puts you on alert to know that there's some things that you are being protected from. It gives you this reassurance that no one is going to invade your personal space without being invited. It also reminds you that there is this added layer of shielding between you and harm. That's what security details really do. Some of you may know that I teach a Sunday morning Bible class, and a couple of weeks ago I had the privilege of teaching from the passage of where Jesus was on the boat with the disciples, and this storm arose. And I've always found it interesting, y'all, that while he slept, they panicked. They were afraid. But the moment he woke up, he spoke to the storm and he calmed the conditions that were causing them anxiety. Right? The moment he woke up, he spoke to the storm. It calmed the conditions that were causing them anxiety. All right. So y'all still just giving your comments. I want to see what you all would do if you had a 24-hour security detail. It would take the ignorance off of your awareness. Yes, absolutely. It does. It serves to make you more aware. So I'm thinking about, I'm telling the story about when Jesus was on the boat, and they were afraid, they were frightened, they had anxiety, they had concerns. But when he woke up and spoke to the storm, it calmed them down. And I reminded the class then, as I remind us this evening, that God is very much alive and never sleeps. I know you all know I talk about being spiritually whole and spiritually well this evening as a part of this broadcast. I want to do that again this evening. I reminded the class that God is very much alive and he never sleeps. And I just want to remind us this evening that he remains all powerful and he retains the authority and the capacity to control the storms that come to consume you. He doesn't sleep. He doesn't slumber. He doesn't nap. He doesn't doze. So one of the things that he does, you all, he calms and he speaks to the storms. I said to the class that having God in my life gives me the comfort of a security detail because he's able to speak to everything that would come to consume me. He's never exhausted from protecting us. He never gets sleepy while he's watching over us. What am I saying, you all? I'm just reminding us that we really do have a 24-hour security detail watching over us. That's all I'm saying. I'm reminding you that you can navigate through life without doubt, without fear, without worry, without anxiety. And I'm reminding you not to let any of those things, any of those negative forces influence your ability to have confidence in your security detail. Some of you are saying that you would feel very protected and that you would feel very free. Some of you are saying that 24-hour security, that you would take 2 a.m. exercise walks in your neighborhood. I would do the same thing. I'd ride my bicycle, I'd go jogging, I'd be on the tennis courts all times of night. But what am I doing this evening? I'm reminding us that we do have a security detail, you all. I'm reminding you to wake up tomorrow morning, wake up confident that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob also desires to be your God, you all, and you can walk, I'm telling you this, and you can walk with your shoulders square and your head high, knowing that your security detail sees everything before it gets to you. And there's absolutely nothing that comes your way that your security detail cannot avert, subvert, or divert. Wake up tomorrow. I told you all my goal is to make sure that we show up tomorrow a little bit better than we did today. So what am I suggesting? What am I offering us this evening? That you wake up tomorrow with a little more confident that he that keeps Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. And it is he who also watches over you. We got a security detail. I just want you to wake up tomorrow in the comfort of knowing that someone is watching over you. All right. And so I wanted you to go on that journey with me and think about what would you do if you just knew that you had armed security detail. Wake up in the confidence and the comfort tomorrow of knowing that you do have security detail over you and one who sees everything coming your way before it ever gets there. Some people will say things like, well, listen, hey, the weapon might be formed, but it's not going to prosper. There are things that are formed that are manufactured that would come to interrupt our joy, our peace, and our hope every single day. But I am so thankful that my faith says to me that there are lots of weapons that are formed, but they don't always prosper. All right. All right. I want to go into the quote for June 21st. I hope you all got something out of that. But if not, hey, stick that one in your arsenal. We're going to go to another one. We're going to go to another one. Yes, absolutely. I'm thinking about, thank you for sharing that. I think about the time when my oldest brother worked near me. He worked near me, and his entire security team knew me. So when I got off work, I would go jogging, but I would make sure, and this was late night, and I would go jogging around where he worked. Why? Because the entire security detail knew me, and so they were looking out for me, and I always felt so safe. All right. I want to read the quote for June 21st. We're reading from this book, Billboards to Better, 366 Daily Sources of Motivation and Inspiration Along the Highway of Life. Pick up the book if you want to. All right. If not, don't sweat it. Just still keep joining the conversation. June 21st says this: every time God turns the page in your life, you get to show up like a brand new character. I remember writing that. Every time God turns the page in your life, you get to show up like a brand new character. I often talk about reinventing yourself, revamping yourself, and recreating yourself. I'm obviously a big proponent of self-awareness and self-improvement, self-respect, self-reflection, self-introspection. Y'all know it, especially those who've been with me for a while. You all know that I'm big proponents of that. And I'm a big supporter of those who always try to make an effort to show up and put their best selves forward. Absolutely. You get all of my undying support. I often think about, y'all, let me just tell you. So by the way, because let's see, I need to share this because some people want to know where to order the books. Let's see. You can go to Amazon.com, but you can also go right here to my website if you want to get it, www. Did I add an extra W? www.gbcutler.com. Either there or you can just go right on over to Amazon and pick it up. All right. Thank you for asking, and many thanks to those of you who are going to pick it up and support me. I appreciate that. But in terms of this whole notion of every time God turns the pages in your life, you get to show up like a brand new character. I often think about how we ask children what they want to be when they grow up. What do you want to be when you grow up? And it always amazes me that on any given day, they might change their minds about what they want to be. Any given day, they might change their mind. And it is so refreshing to me that in their innocence, you all, they believe that they can become whatever they want to become. Oh, to God that we will believe the same thing about ourselves. And simultaneously, they set no restrictions on how many things they can do or how many things they can become. No limitations, no restrictions. They change their mind, all of that. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could one day wake up to the realization that we have many more opportunities than we ever take advantage of? Wouldn't it be absolutely marvelous if we could walk in the realization that we don't have to restrict ourselves to the box that the world tries to put us in? Wouldn't it be liberating if we could recognize that we can walk in the freedom of creativity and fluidity based on what the day holds? I'm just trying to offer us something different, you all, a different way of thinking, a different way of being. I've reached the resolve, and I'm telling you all this some time ago, that every day is a day of new possibilities. Every day for me is a day of new possibilities, a day of new opportunities, a day of new dreams, and a day of new expectations. I realize that every single morning God wakes me up, he turns the page to a new storyline, a new plot, a new chapter, and sometimes a whole new book. And I want to share that enthusiasm, that inspiration with you all every single day. You all take it and face it as a new storyline, a new plot, a new chapter, and sometimes, like I just said, a whole new book. This quote reminds me, it powerfully reminds me, and I share this message with you all today, not to become prisoners. Yes, Tracy, I think you said it, not to become prisoners of your yesterdays. Don't you let your yesterday, listen, don't let your yesterday, no matter how good or how bad it may have been, don't let yesterday imprison you. Don't let it put limits or restrict you from exploring the possibilities of today. I'm so charged by that because I've discovered, you all, that sometimes people will sometimes hold on to you because of who you were. And they're sometimes threatened or intimidated because of who you will become. But guess what? I don't know about anybody else, but in my life, I found that with God, the very opposite is true. He loves me in spite of who I was. And he holds on to me and carries me because of who I will become. My God. People hold on to you because of who you were. And they're sometimes threatened or intimidated by who you will become. But it's not like that with God. That's not my story anyway. God loves me in spite of who I was, but he carries me because he knows who or what I will become. And he helps me to navigate life because he has wonderful, inestimable plans for my life that will yield me the kind of future that my mind can't even conceive. And the same is true for you all. I just want to plant a seed of new tomorrows. My offering this evening, you all, it's nothing more than a fresh approach to tomorrow. I offer you the power of saying yes to your tomorrows. And then when your tomorrow arrives, when it shows up, I offer you the power to tell tomorrow, yes, I'm open to the possibility and the creativity and the wonders and the splendors of whatever this day holds. I offer you the power to speak to your tomorrows. The power of speaking to your tomorrows. Because tomorrow comes with a beautiful set of mercies. A beautiful set of a clean slate. And it gives you all these wonderful tools. It gives you the paint and the paint brushes. It gives you the easel so you can create on the canvas the very thing that you want. And as you're painting, if you don't like what you see, pick up another color, pick up another brush and just give it a new brush stroke. The power of saying yes to your tomorrow. I want to go into the quote for June 22nd, if I may do that, you all. I hope you all are enjoying that conversation, but I am always so moved by the fact that tomorrow I get to recreate, reinvent, revamp, and see it as a wonderful, new, fluid, and dynamic opportunity. I hope I've given you all that perspective as well. All right, June 22nd, the quote for June 22nd. I told you all I'm only here for 1,800 seconds, and I don't want to waste your time. June 22nd, the quote says this: the creator, not the institution, was meant to be worshiped. I was thinking, you all, about what I wanted to share in terms of this quote. I was thinking about what I wanted to share with this quote. And I was trying to frame my thoughts, I was reminded of something that my mother used to tell me quite often. It's this familiar saying among Southern people, and you may have heard it, you all, but if a young person seems to have an old soul, we sometimes say things like, you've been here before. That child has been here before. Has anybody ever heard that saying? Let me know in the chat. Talk to me if you've ever heard that saying that, this child has been here before. Or maybe how many of you have ever been told that you've been here before? It speaks to the fact that a child can seem to have such an old soul. It seems to suggest that you have, or at least had, the kind of wisdom that was. Thank you all for letting me know if you've heard that. It seems to suggest that you have, or at least you had, a kind of wisdom that was uncommon for people your age. Thank you all for affirming and letting me know that you've heard that. And I'm chuckling about that saying because I recognized the truth of this quote many years ago. Not necessarily that I was so wise, but my mom would say, baby, you must have been here before. I think that was the case because I decided many years ago that I was not going to be bound, ensnared, or stifled by the dogmatic teachings of people who wanted to handcuff me to a particular institution. Namely, I'm thinking the church. I realized some time ago that the church was more than just brick and mortar, more than just lumber and timber, more than just iron and metal. And that is why I embrace anybody who comes to this channel and wants to chat with me. Why? Because my conceptualization of what the church is more than just lumber and timber and brick and mortar and all of that stuff. But for me, the church was a body of believers who share a love for God and a love among each other, where they encourage each other to always show up as your best self, where they show up and remind us that fairness and justice and righteousness is possible, where they show up in love and tell us to strive to be a little bit better tomorrow than you were today. And I suppose that this is one of the reasons why I was not so spiritually stifled by the pandemic, you all, because I did not base my relationship on God on my connection to a building. I just didn't do that. And I want to be clear, though, in stating that, yes, I do believe in the institution. I believe in the principles of love and grace and mercy and redemption that all connect us to the Creator. I believe in all of that. I also understand, however, that the organizations that represent the institution, they're not perfect. Neither is my family perfect, but I don't disassociate with my family just because we're not perfect. So I want to be clear that I'm not stating that I'm church bashing. But the one thing that I am doing this evening is reminding us to put relationship before membership. That's all. I believe that if we focus on the strength of our vertical relationship, then we'll be able to deal with less heartache when the horizontal and the lateral relationships don't work. Relationship before membership. I just wanted to share that with you all. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I do have a few poems that I want to share. I've been in a very poetic mood these days, and I hope you all have enjoyed my poems. Again, all of my books are available on Amazon.com, where you can get them by going to my website, www.gbcutler.com. And that website is there at the bottom of the screen, so you can go there and get it. So we're reading from this book, Billboards to Better. That's where these quotes are coming from, the ones that I'm so passionately speaking about this evening as I have for the past few months. So I also want to now share poems. I want to go out by conclude our discussion this evening by sharing a couple of my other poems, because I've talked about the church and this is not an indictment against the church, but I want to share this funny, but I think kind of humorous poem that I wrote about the church. And this one's called Church Folks. And it's in my book, Who We Once Were. All right. So let me know what you all think about this. Listen carefully as I read this. Church Folks. Sickening. Just sickening, ain't it? How church folks carry on, created one by one. We should have all been the same. So when you persecute me, you could feel my pain. It's a shame how we shout about being set free, but manipulate our brothers and our sisters in the name of ministry. It's all about me. It's not really about you. Sad, but it's true. Me and my family to the front, everybody else behind. My gifts and talents got to rise up. My name has got to shine. Pitiful. Just pitiful how church folks behave, saying one thing, putting up smoke screens and hoping that nobody knows. All that fake humility, but I pray that somebody can see that they're being strong-armed with doctrine and twisted scriptures messing up their minds. Lord, have mercy on that kind who exploit real church folks and never listen to a beating heart. Cynical, it seems, but church folks are crushing dreams of old folks, young folks, you and me kind of folks, mega this and mega that, souls getting skinny, egos getting fat. Church folks is a low-down, dirty shame. Using psychology, even theology, trying to control me. I ain't even studying them kind of church folks who forgot how God saved them when they didn't have nothing and ain't got nothing. Ain't got nothing. And ain't nothing they got, you all, makes them better than my friend who sits in the park counting leaves on the tree in the daytime and the stars in the sky at night. after he got sick, real sick with an incurable disease and lost his home, his heart, and his hope. Zion is calling me. And church folks, she's calling you too. Listen, church folks. I want to thank you all for tuning in and listening to that. I got just one more. Will you all let me share just one more with you? Because my 1800 seconds is not quite up. It's not quite up. Thank you all again. One of the most valuable things that you can share with someone is your time. So whatever space you've allowed me to come into, whether it's your home, your car, your front porch, your back porch, your kitchen, because I'm from the South, we let people in the kitchen. All right. I want to thank you all. Yes, I'll read just one more. All right, Nina, just because you asked, I'm going to read this one more. Shonda, because you asked, I'm going to read one more. All right, you all. And this one is interesting. I think it's an interesting a twist on what's happening here. Let me see. Where's that one? Where is it? Come on. Hang on just a second, because I'll tell you what's funny. After you write all of these poems, then you get to, okay, I know where it is. You sort of forget which book it's in. Hang on, you all. It's in this book. I just don't know the pages by heart. One night I was looking for a poem and I just picked up a whole wrong book. So I just read whatever poem I picked up. Let's see. Wow. Speaking of your tomorrows, this is the one that I want to read. I want to read this one poem that talks about your tomorrows, because I mentioned to you all, I wanted to offer you the power, the gift of saying yes to your tomorrows. So I want to share this poem with you. It says, a little hope for a lot of time. Let me tell you this. Time is infinite. And to make it through time, all you need is just a little hope. No, actually, let's see. Someone asked, the poems that I'm reading this evening, they are in this book, Who We Once Were. And I have about 7 books, and I'm just going to flash them on the screen for you. This was my first book, If Words Could Speak. It's filled with poetry. My second book, Thoughts Keep Flowing, is poetry, but it also introduces a novel. You got to get this. This one introduces a novel. My third book, I have it right here in my hand. My third book is Who We Once Were, poetry, and it gives another teaser to the novel. And then fourth book, the fourth book is The Problem with Believing God. You got to get this book. Notice I don't say the problem with God, but I say the problem with believing God. I was fortunate enough to have, some of you may have heard of Bishop Alfred Owens Jr., who did the foreword for me in this book. And then that was number 4. Number 5 was We Don't Always Get It Right the First Time, Lessons for the Next Generation. I wrote this book when one of my aunts died, and we were sitting around, we were talking about some of the things that we would always remember about her, you all. And it just occurred to all of us that we had things we probably would have said to the next generation. So I took it upon myself. I said, I'm just going to codify mine. I'm going to go ahead and write mine down. So if there's anything I want the next generation to remember, I'll just go ahead and put it in the book. Who writes a book to pass along stuff to the next generation? I did. That was number 5. Number 6 was When I Am Overwhelmed. Lessons. No, that was for the next generation. When I'm overwhelmed, how to handle life at its most intense moments. This book continues to speak to me this very day when I'm overwhelmed. I may come back and share some lessons from this one day, you all. That was book number 6. And then book number 7 is Billboards to Better. All right. That's all of the books. I got to read this last poetry. I got to read this one last poem. All right. A little hope for a lot of time. A little hope for a lot of time. If there be any reason in the thing that you do, then do it. If there be any glory in the thing that you choose, then choose it. If there be any hope in the day that you see, capture it, seize it, live in it, and love within it, because tomorrow will come and you will ask, how is it that I now stand here on this dawn of a new day? when so many others have come this way. I so clearly remember yesterday when I woke up, the rains were beating at my window pane. I saw no life in the moment. The elders were gathering. There was comedy and tragedy, a funeral procession, and the little girl standing still. But I heard music and I looked beyond the horizon to see purple and gold, black and white, red and blue, and I had hope because of you. Then someone shouted and the winds began to rage. Someone screamed and blood poured over my feet. Someone cried for peace and the books were opened to a page where we find ourselves in this hour, this puzzling, perplexing, profound, and powerful hour. This moment, such a tense moment, asking who, what, when, where, why, and how can I change tomorrow, because it will come. And in it, there will I find you. You, my mother and brother, father and sister, wife and husband, friend and lover, son and daughter, grands and even greats. You, the center of my joy, lifter of my head, you who have given me reason, glory, and hope for today, have also given me strength for tomorrow. Why? Because it will come. Thank you all for sharing this space. Every tomorrow will come. And if I haven't offered you anything this evening, I hope I've offered you the one thing, the power of embracing tomorrow with all of its dynamics, all of its creativity, all of its fluidity, everything that it offers. And you say yes to your tomorrow, yes to every possibility that comes on the knocking at the door, standing on your welcome mat. Let them in, embrace it, and know that when tomorrow shows up, you have the gift of a new page, a new storyline, a new plot, a new chapter, sometimes a whole new book. Thank you all for these 1800 seconds. I'm not going to waste your time at all. Do me a favor. I show up every Tuesday and Thursday for 1800 seconds. Share this channel, share this space, invite others to come along, become passengers as we read these billboards, you all. Until we meet again, do me this favor. Let's continue building connectivity. Let's continue building community and maintaining connectivity. Keep your heads up, but more than that, you all keep your hope up. Hope says, I have expectations of God and of even myself, because there's greatness that lives down within the inside of me. So yes, I do have expectations. Keep your hopes up. Stay safe, stay sane, and know that from my heart to yours, there always will be, and you can't do anything about this. Much love. Good night, all.